I think you may know me as creator of CSS and Amplifr, but you know today is React meetup, not a CSS. So we will talk about my new project. But first, this is my Twitter. You can subscribe, and there is a slides there, all things available on this Twitter. So the problem, like React and CSS and Amplifr solve the problem in CSS, but today I'm going to talk about a completely different problem. And like my family lives in China. I really like to visit them. Unfortunately, Chinese internet is really bad. About half of the packages just lost because, you know, censorships. Half of the packages lost to any Western website, not a blocked website, to any, even a legal website, half of the packages will be lost. So your internet works very bad. And so ask a question, how your site will work in this condition? Like if you make an AJAX request and the connection just dropped, the loader will have infinite loop, or you show the special error for the users. But you know, I'm talking not about Chinese internet. Every internet works bad, especially in New York, in the metro. So yeah, there is no connection in the tubes. There is no connection somewhere. And for example, like .conference, it is the best conference in the Paris, and they don't have internet in the venue at all. Like, come on, like we are not about technologies. So wireless is unstable, and this is a main basement idea of any connection. So when people talk to you about offline, it's not like we should care about offline, we should care about offline first, not because some people who go hiking in the mountains. The real problem is that we have offline every day, every hour, one of our connection dropped, and this is why we should care about offline. But unfortunately, we don't care, and I don't care. Like, this is our common sin. Why? Because when we're developing a website, the backend runs on our same machine. And so we have a perfect connection. Unfortunately, when we will deploy this website, the connection will be a little different. And the whole ideas that we created, the whole like workflows that we created will not work in these real conditions. I have like, I know the three main problems with connection of every website, including mine websites. First, it's infinite loaders when you have a problem with AJAX request. And this is why people, your users, have they always know that they must press a reload button. You know, this reflex. Something bad with website, press a reload button. And this is show how bad our connectivity right now. Second problem, when you want to do something, every your click have a loader. You press a save button, wait a second, I will send this request. And this loader blocks interactions. You can do other works until your AJAX request will be finished. And as a result, but we don't need these loaders. We need these loaders only for 1% of like failures, something like this login is already taken. But because of this 1% of errors, we wait hours in our life in these loaders. And third problem, like I think every website has this. Imagine there is two users, and they open the same document. One user changed a one field in the document, other user changed a different field of this document. It should be merged very easily, but because they open a document in the same time and press the save button in the pretty same time, one user will override the changes of the different user because this last user sent a final stage with like this A that was changed in the second user. And this is not about some websites with multiple users. Every user right now is two users because they have a laptop and the phone. And this is why I have a dream. Right now we have a very good client side, React, all that stuff, it's really good, even Angular. And we have a very good server side, all this Ruby on Rails, Python, Node.js, this is very good. But the real problem right now, I think, for my opinion, is between them. It's client-server connections. And the problem is opportunity. This is why I believe that solving the problem of connectivity between client and server will be the next big thing, will be the next React Native or something. This will be a big thing of 2018 and 2019. This is why we have all these trends about GraphQL and other solutions, because we need to change the way how we communicate with a server. So my dream is that all regular web application, not special, not collaborative text editors, like any web application, will have real-time updates. If other users will change something, I will receive these updates immediately without pressing a reload button. I dream about web applications which synchronize the work in the background. So I press a save button and my pop-up immediately close and synchronizations go to background. And I believe in offline first support from the beginning, but not that offline support that just show you frozen pages, not the real offline support when you can edit the changes, like in the New York subway. Your grandma writes you a message like, "Do you alive?" And then you go into a tube and you need to wait until the next station to answer to your grandma, and imagine how she feels. Why you can just write a message, press a send button, and then on the next station the synchronization will be complete. It will be the good user experience. And all of these features I want without big changes of the code. This is a dream, yes? And without changing ecosystem, without changing the database. Why? Because we really need all these dreams, we really need all these things, because first we will have a next billion users very soon, and then they will not have a good connection, I'm sure. And the second reason, because all these good ideas really improve the user experience. Like, you know, people say web application, mobile web application sucks, they works very slow. This is our fault, because we saw these loaders. It's not because like real performance of JavaScript, it's mostly about user experience. And if we will use all these things, we will improve a way how people like our applications. So, can we implement this dream? To be honest, there is no implementation of this dream right now, but we are going closer to it. So, the main problem is AJAX. The main problem of all our connectivity is the idea of requests, because it's very easy to do in the beginning, but when you make it for smart and smart, it will become the hell. So we need to kill AJAX. We need to remove AJAX requests from our web application. Of course, I'm talking about web application, not some simple web pages. And the second problem is because with all these requests, we just send it to the server and don't care, because in our idea, the server is not part of our front end. Even if you are full stack, you are thinking about these two systems separately. And there is a better way to think about connectivity. This is called distributed system. It means that your server and your client side is part of the one application and then just synchronize the states. Unfortunately, there is one problem with distributed system. They are a little complicated. But we had problem with complexity before. Before the Ruby on Rails, writing a backend was a hell. It was very complex. After Ruby on Rails, it became much easier. Before the React, writing like updating a DOM fastly and like easily was very hard. With React, it changes. Same with Redux. So frameworks decrease the complexity. But what is framework? Framework is not a code. Framework is the idea. When you have the idea, you will write only one framework. Idea of Ruby on Rails is getting real. Idea of Redux is splitting of the components and like making the components as a pure function. So to create a framework to solve the problem with distributed system, make it easy, we need some idea. Let's go to idea. The idea of Logux, the tool that I'm presenting, was created in St. Petersburg, the origin city of Dan Abramov, when we had a drink in the bar after the St. Petersburg meetup. So, what's the idea? First, I will tell you about event sourcing. Imagine that we will have one server, two clients, and then these two clients open the same document and send updated document to the server. How we will merge it, especially in Chinese. But if we have a problem with our program, we not should change algorithm, we should change data structure. This is a way how we simplify a program. So let's send to the server not the final state, but actual changes. Let's save on our clients actual changes. This idea called event sourcing. So in the beginning, server sent us a title and likes. But then one client remove one like, other client remove one title. So it's very easy to merge these changes without to merge two changes of the same document. You just need to take this log of actions, combine them, and sort it by the time. That's all. We don't need a complex algorithm to solve this problem. And on top of the idea of event sourcing, there is a very interesting project called CRDT. It's conflict-free replica data types. It data types with a lot of limits, but if you agree with these limits, these data types doesn't have merge conflicts. If two users will change the same document, CRDT will solve the conflict automatically. Not like Git when you need to do it manually, automatically. With a lot of limits, of course. And the best implementation of CRDT created by crazy Russian scientist Viktor Grishenko in Swarm.js. I really recommend this library. And so, in that bar with Dan Abramov, we start to think how we can implement, combine Swarm.js to Redux. And then we start to think that we have a log list of actions everywhere. We have list of actions in CRDT. It's store what people actually changes in document. We have a list of actions in Redux, like Redux DevTools, or some tool to undo and redo actions. And we have the same mutation in GraphQL. So everywhere we have a list of actual changes. But this is a separated list. Separated in Redux, separated in CRDT, separated in GraphQL. And this is the idea. Let's have a single log for any tools that use list of the actions. Single log. This is the idea of Logux. So how it looks like? On the client side, we have a list of actions, list of Redux actions, same actions that you already use right now. But we have a same list of Redux actions on the server. And then we just need to create WebSocket connections and synchronize the changes. If a client, like your user press a button, you add Redux action, we will just send this action to the server. But also, and it is very easy to find what actions we do need to send, because every action has a number. But we can create action on this server. And because we have a WebSocket connection, this action will be synchronized back to the client. And also, if we have a multiple clients and other client create action, this action will be sent to the server and then we send to all clients. So we have real-time updates just for free because of the idea. And my favorite things, we can do it already with the browser tabs. This is a list of the action. Let's synchronize list of the action between the tabs. So the idea of Logux, you don't need to make a AJAX request. You just create Redux actions, and Logux will do the rest. It will take care. You don't just need to think about synchronization. So right now, if we have a AJAX request, we create some new action, we save it to database, and until the response, we show the loader. In this idea, we don't need it. If user creates some action, we apply this action to our interface immediately. We don't wait the response for the server. Logux already have user interface to show the synchronization state, because all synchronization is centralized. It's not in every form. It's one place to show the interface. But what if we will have some problem on the server with our changes? In that moment, server can send undo action and remove any action from our client-side action log. And so if a user changed a name to a new, and unfortunately this name was already taken, server just sent undo action and the name on the client will be changed back. We can easily do it because it's a part of the Redux feature. We don't need to write a code actually. So this was the idea. But you know, idea is very easy when it's inside your brain. But when you start to implement it, you found a problem. For example, list of the actions. Event sourcing works only if order is the same on every client. If order will be different, there is no way how you can fix it. The easy way is just to remove the whole system and start from the scratch. So we need to order our actions on every machine in the same way. So we need some sort of time. But you know, like if we create a 2 times on the client, sometimes it could be equal, because like there is, or for example, sometimes if we create a 1 time and then create a second time could be smaller than the previous one, because there is time time correction in our phones and our application. And especially the problem is between the client and server, time could be completely different. I'm talking not about time zones, I'm talking about wrong time on the client machine. So we need some sort of solution. There is a vendor clocks, but there is a lot of problem with vendor clocks. So Logux use a different way. Very complex distributed clock with time zone or with a timestamp, unique node ID and counter. And when client connect to the server, client calculate the time difference between a server and the client. So every action is in the local time. So this is a way how Logux deal with time zone, with time, with a lot of stuff. My favorite problem that we solved. We have server, we have our application. It works with indexed database. But user open 2 browser tabs with our application. Both of them keep a WebSocket connection. And when the server will send a new action, 1 tab will found it, apply it, but second tab will found that this action already is in the common indexed database. And so it will ignore it as a duplicate. And I found this problem just months before presenting the first version of Logux. It was a disaster. I was really depressed. But you know, sometimes you can turn your problems into your benefits. So we found an interesting way. When you open your website with Logux in 2 multiple browser tabs, they start an election and elect the leader. And only leader can keep a WebSocket. And this leader will resend the new action to other browser tabs. It reduces load to the server. And of course, if you will close this browser tab, they will start a real election again. It's not a problem. But first, it's reduce a load to the server. But second, we will finally have a same notification count in every browser tab. We finally can solve this problem. So, how Logux code looks? Like all these ideas, show the code. Code is real. First, Logux is only 12 kilobytes. Say thank you for size limits, a tool to control your JavaScript library size. So, it has a Redux-compatible API. You just need to remove import, write this small bunch of code with your server credentials, and write a start. That's all. And then you have a 3 ways to dispatch your actions. Your old dispatch method, but also you have 2 additional Logux specific methods. It's a dispatch crosstab and dispatch sync. So if you use dispatch crosstab, this action will appear to all opened browser tabs. But if you use a sync method, this action will be sent to the server. So instead of having a AJAX request, instead of making a AJAX request and showing the closure, you just replace dispatch to dispatch sync. No more sagas, no more action creation, just create action and send it to the server. On the server side, you have a Node.js framework which handle all actions from the Redux. Just access token and process token. And in this process callback, you can do anything that you want. You can work with any database, you can work with anything. It doesn't connect with some crazy databases. And also, if you have your old legacy backend written in PHP or Python or Ruby on Rails, you can just make a AJAX request from your server. And on the server, of course, you can create action, and this action will appear to your client. And same with undo action. This action will remove some action from a client. How you can fetch the data from the server? You just wrap your component to a decorator, same as GraphQL, and pass a channel name. And this channel will be sent to a server, and server will send initial state for this data, same as GraphQL. I told you a lot of good stuff about Logux, but you know, reality, there is a bad stuff, of course. First, GraphQL is not CRDT. Logux is not CRDT. Logux is not database, but it's a framework to create CRDT and to create database. Second, I told you how easy it is to put actions to Logux, but the main question, how to remove actions from the Logux, how clean it. And this is a little tricky right now. We continue to find a good way to deal with it. Second problem, Logux, of course, it's a framework, it increases complexity. So if you have a simple application, you don't need Logux because the final complexity will be bigger. But if you have everyday pain, like nightmares about all your AJAX requests, sagas, all that stuff, I think you understand that in your case, Logux will simplify your project. And the third problem, it's a young project, only a 0.2 release. But we use it in our production. Thank you to our managers who are very brave and don't afraid to implement crazy new ideas to production. Right now, we have more than 30 contributors to Logux. Join us, it's a very interesting project, a lot of new ideas and competitions. So, result. What is Logux? Logux is a tool to replace AJAX requests, because AJAX request is bad. It replaces it by synchronizing Redux action to a server. No more request, no more fetch or something, just Redux actions. Where to use it? In any complex web application, not just collaborative text editor. Any application when you have a form, and this form could be edited from the phone or from the laptop from the same user, you will have a benefit. Why you have a benefit? First, user experience. Your users press save button, and this form will save it immediately without this loader. So your everyday experience will be better. And you know, like all delays reduce the money that you're getting from project. Second, optimistic UI out of box and live updates, offline first out of box. And you have same Redux API, same database without any tricky new things. All good stuff. That's all. This is a Twitter. This is my Twitter. This is Twitter of Evil Martians. Ask questions. Very good question. So what is the difference between Firebase and Logux and other like databases? So it depends. It depends on the exact database. First, the main problem with Firebase and all databases is that you must have these databases on your server side. If you have already Postgres SQL, or you just can't tell to your DevOps team that they need to remove all the Postgres databases and move to Firebase, Logux will be simpler for you. If you already use Firebase, it's very good. Second problem, Firebase is not really good with merging data. It's not the problem of the idea of databases. It's more a problem of how they implement it. For example, there is a very nice database called undone. It's a very young project too, but it's very nice. CouchDB, unfortunately, not, because it's very easy to forget. CouchDB hides merge conflicts. You need to explicit show me all conflicts that it was made. Unfortunately, CouchDB is not the best way. Firebase do it a little better, but there is a more good databases, especially Swarm.js and CRDT database, so really recommend it. But CouchDB is good for you too if you don't have a lot of merge conflicts. And the second problem, I saw that we have CouchDB for more than 10 years. It's really good project, amazing idea. We have Firebase more than 2 or 5 years, but they're not well known. People don't use it in real project. Only sometimes, only accidentally when somebody forces it. So I found the database, it's not, unfortunately, solution for the problem in the term of marketing. People are afraid to change databases. They're really good. Main problem is psychologically. So this is why I started the Logux. It's a different way to solve this problem, to presenting not the database, but the framework. So it's more about marketing, how you think about it. Awesome question. So, do I use a AJAX request to synchronize actions? No, I can't use it because a AJAX request is only one way. So, to synchronize both ways, I must use WebSockets. So, this is the only way. There is other ways, but in my experience, WebSockets works in most of the way if they're already created and you use encryption. The main problem with all people who try WebSocket and was failed is they use it without encryption. And so without encryption, it's some sort of new protocol. And a lot of old firewalls and old business stuff, they just, unknown protocol, something looks like hacky, and they cut the protocols. But if you start encryption, so you use WebSocket secure, the all connection looks identically as HTTPS connection. There is no way how firewall can determine that this is WebSocket secure and this is HTTPS. So if your web firewall allows you HTTPS connections, it will work with WebSocket secure without a problem.
So, thanks so much.